TV se acaba de mover al estado de la Florida y estamos entrevistando a un gran amigo, a un gran acuarista, nada más y nada menos que Julian Sprung. Julian Sprung, how you doing, sir?
Muy bien, gracias.
See, he speaks Spanish. Well, Julian, you've been a big aquarist here in the hobby. When did you start?
I started as a little boy. One of my older brothers had aquariums when I was just 4 years old. He didn't have the aquariums in the house though. They were, I can tell you this in Spanish, as I'm thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, empezado cuando tenía 4 años. Yeah. Y mi hermano mayor, uno de mis hermanos, él ha tenido acuarios en la casa de un vecino, porque mi padre estaba preocupada que agua salada va a oxidar todo en la casa. Y entonces no lo deja que tiene en la casa. Pero él ha tenido como 4 acuarios en ese vecino, y un día cuando yo estaba con 4 años, él
me enseñó.
Me ha enseñado todos de sus acuarios y me fascinó. Como ustedes saben, un acuario primera vez,
wow.
Los colores, todo.
And you got hooked.
I was hooked. Y después había un show aquí en Miami, the Florida Marine Aquarium Society, ¿okay? Y en esta época han tenido cada año un show en el museo. Y normalmente son como 100 acuarios puestos del grupo del club. Y en este show yo he visto por primera vez Dory.
Oh, Blue Tang.
Blue Tang. Primera vez un Blue Ribbon Eel.
Okay.
Y Royal Brahma.
Wow.
En el año 1973.
Way back, huh?
Yeah. Entonces yo recuerdo muy bien.
Wow.
So, he empezado, I began
as
a hobbyist. And I live on an island on Miami Beach. I grew up here. The islands, it's not like the islands of Puerto Rico. We're talking residential island.
Okay.
So living on an island, you have the chance to collect your own fish. And the same brother, he took me collecting with him, and I caught puffer fish, sargassum fish.
And he was amazed.
And high hats, sea urchins, and sea cucumbers, and
everything,
nudibranchs, and seaweed, whatever. I used to catch this stuff.
So you've been here quite a few.
Yeah.
And when you started thinking about products, because right now your products are great. When you start thinking of that?
Well, there's a little bit of time in between that.
Okay.
So I was starting. I was keeping fish in buckets and containers by the time I was 6.
Wow.
Okay. I had my first aquarium. I think I was 10. My father set up an aquarium in his office.
Okay. Well, not in the house.
No, in the office. And I was 10. Later, he did allow my brother to set up aquariums at home.
At least.
He did. So my brother had 2 aquariums at home. And after he left and went to college, I was allowed.
You took care of them.
Yeah, well, he kept, one of them I was able to keep, but then I set up my own, and he kept another 10.
Nice.
Anyway, that's beside the point. But, I went to school and studied biology. And after I graduated from the University of Florida, I was very much interested in corals by that time. I had an aquarium in my dorm room, and I was keeping some corals in college.
Back then, the corals were easy to keep.
They were hard to get. There were only a few species you could get, and we could get corallimorphs, mushroom anemones. They're easy to get. Euphilia occasionally.
How about the light fixture? What kind of lights?
The light fixtures, well, at that time what people were using were daylight. And there was a special bulb for invertebrates and anemones that was called a power twist. Remember that one, Tony? Yes, of course.
Well, Tony's behind one of the cameras.
Yes. And so, yeah, I was using daylight and power twist tubes. And usually people would have a Grolux. A Grolux was sort of a pink tube. I don't know, they even make Grolux anymore.
Yes.
Probably not. Yeah.
They still?
Yeah. So that's what we use. Now in 1987, I visited Washington D.C. because I was interested to work at the Smithsonian, and they had a coral reef system there that had been set up, I think in 81 or 82 was when set that up. Walter Ady was in charge of the Marine Systems Laboratory, and I read about that in Smithsonian Magazine, and it was published in other newspaper articles.
Back then was hard because there were no internet.
Right. Yeah, but there were magazines and
Yeah, of
newspapers,
course.
so we saw these things, and I saw it, and I thought, I got to get in touch with these people. And I thought, when I graduate, I'd like to work there. Because these guys grow corals, I grow corals, hey, this could
That's
be
what
a
I
good
want.
thing. And I went there in 87, which was a year before I graduated, and I met some people at the Marine Systems Laboratory, and they did not have any jobs available. They didn't even have a position if I wanted to volunteer. So, but they told me about a guy who lived outside of Washington, D.C., and he had an amazing aquarium, they said, and he was starting a business selling products for people who wanted to grow coral.
Huh.
And I thought, I never heard of this guy,
Let's see.
but they gave me his number, and I called him, and we spoke at length, and talked about our experience. Oh, you grow that, oh, I grow this, and I'm doing this, that's how I'm keeping it. And he said, well, when you graduate, I need a biologist on staff, so if you want it, you got a job.
Oh, that's
Now, I went, and it wasn't on that first trip, I only spoke to him by phone. I came back on another trip, and I met him. His name's John Burleson, and he was the distributor for the actinic lights, the Philips actinic light. That was the first time I saw Philips actinic 03, and when you see that blue light for the first time,
You went crazy.
first of all, yeah, green star
Of
polyps,
course.
it's incredible. Now, one effect you don't really get with the blue LED lights, but you did when you had an actinic 03 fluorescent bulb in front of your eyes. You see these funny
Waves.
and what that is you're seeing the capillaries, the blood moving in your eyes. It's a strange effect, and if you've never seen it, you need to experience that. And so this was the first time in '87 that I saw that. And wow, all the corals that they were getting at that time, we didn't see them in Florida, but they were coming into Washington, D.C. and Northern Virginia
Back then.
and they were getting these cool corals, and Burleson had this wonderful aquarium set up already with all of this stuff. And so the next year in '88 I graduated, and then I started working with him, and then I started writing books.
Not books yet?
And
Okay.
there was a magazine called Freshwater Marine Aquarium
We're
Magazine.
writing for the magazine.
So I started writing a column for them.
Once a week?
No, once a month.
Oh, once a month. Okay.
Once a month. Yeah, people now don't even remember Reef Notes, but that's what it was called, Reef Notes and Family Magazine. And there were lots of people starting at the same time. It was like in a lot of little places, all of a sudden the industry was growing.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's where I got into the products, working for Burleson. He was bringing in the actinic bulbs. He started manufacturing wet-dry filters and surface skimming overflows and protein skimmers, and a lot of different things. He brought in the Tunzi
Oh, Chauncey.
Yeah. So Burleson was the first to bring that in. And so I was involved in selling that equipment. I also got to see what was involved in production, you know, the whole manufacturing process. So I became introduced to a lot of different people in the industry. So that's how I got into the product side.
Okay.
This answers your question in
Yeah.
a long answer.
Yeah, sounds
And
great.
I could have done it in Spanish, but it's probably faster. in English.
Yeah, of course. But they understand. And Julian, how many tanks you got right now? Because right here, right now,
Yeah,
you got
there's
3.
3 tanks here. I have 2 at home. Really, I should say 3. There's 2 in the house, 1 outside.
Okay.
And I also have a freshwater tank.
Okay, so you got fresh water too.
Yes.
Okay. And how big are your tanks?
The one at home, I mean, Tony gave it a little bit different gallon size. He included the sump and the refugium. I don't know. I call it a 250 because I have a low water level in there. And the tank has waves on it. I wanted to, you know, not have the water too high.
And you're more to corals or fish?
Oh, both.
Both of them?
Yeah, I like corals and fish and plants and mangrove trees.
Yeah, mango
Oh,
tree.
yeah.
We can do that. We can
I have
see
that
it.
at home too.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
That's a nice setup right there. Love it. And using sunlight.
So I
and
have a
everything. Wow.
smaller version of that at home. I also have mangroves that aren't in a proper aquarium, let's say. They're just in pots and things. At home. I have a bunch of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in corals, what kind of corals you say is kind of hard?
When you say kind of hard to keep, hard to get.
Yeah,
what do
to
you mean?
keep for a person like you, to keep that coral. You say, well, this one it's hard. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I mean there are corals that are very easy for me to keep that I manage not to kill.
Okay.
There are ones that are more challenging, but if they're difficult for me, I don't really keep them. You know,
Okay.
I tend to
Avoid
want to
it.
do that. I've had trouble in the past with it's not a common coral. Australa gyra out of the Solomon Islands. I think it's really difficult to keep. Most other corals, I've figured out how to keep them. At one time, I had difficulty with Syrianopora. Not anymore. I'm able to grow that one crazy very fast.
Without problem.
No problems. You know, some people have difficulty with Acropora. I've got many species of Acropora.
Okay.
They're not my favorites, though. You know, I mean, there are certain Acropora that I really, really like, but I don't try to make a tank full of SPS. I like to have a mix.
Okay.
I'm more partial to LPS corals.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
I'm not into
I like
SPS.
meaty corals.
Okay.
Yeah, ones with big mouths, are easy to feed. Yeah, well, speaking of feeding, the non-photosynthetic ones like Tubostrea, I know you can keep them, but I don't personally have the time to be feeding them as often as
It's
is
kind of
required.
hard.
So it's a little more challenging. Those are harder, so I tend to stay away from them.
Okay. And talking about your products, how many products you got on your line?
You know, I haven't counted.
Not yet?
I don't even know. It's as far as the number of SKUs, I know it's over 100 SKUs.
Wow.
Now, some of those SKUs are like little components, little valves and you know, adapters, connectors, but I don't know. We'd have to count. We could take the catalog and do a count on that. You know, if you look at the price list, though, there's a lot of little accessory things that go with them.
And coming to an end right now, because we're running kind of short time. You heard about the Extravaganza Aquarium Expo
Oh, yes.
down in Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
And if we invite you to the Extravaganza Aquarium Expo 2016, will you be ready to go there?
I sure would love to. I hear wonderful things about it. So if my wife allows it, probably if she can come too, there's a good chance that I will be there too.
Okay. Well, let's see what's going on and what's going to happen on Extravaganza Aquarium Expo 2016. So, here for Bat TV from Florida with Julian Sprung. Have a good weekend. Have a good day.
Muchas
Everything.
gracias.
And,
vemos en Puerto Rico, si Dios quiere.
and Julian, from me and the team, we want to say thanks for the interview.
Thank
It
you very
was
much.
nice talking to you.
Un placer.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See you.